But thank you so much, Richard and Claire, for this inspiring discussion. And I'm just going to talk about a big white elephant in our North Atlantic room, which is Greenland. And we have radical transformation approaches being led by actually the young and the farmers. But there are a lot of obstacles, and I would say they're mostly not ecological, but social-political. And embedded in them is mitigation as objective consequence, that is mitigation, reduction of anthropogenic impact on climate change. And what you see here is our plastic hay bales in the flower valley, so-called, at the west of Narsaq, in Eiríksfjörður, as we call it in Icelandic. And that's on the this is an outlying pasture or meadows and hayfields. What I'm going to talk to you about, my area, actually long-standing area, is to look at climate change and society in medieval Iceland and Greenland. Then I moved to Iceland in modern times, and now Greenland. Part of projects where Johan and I, my wife and I, we look at all sectors of the economy, especially in southern Greenland. And but my particular interest here, and my interest is, of course, to talk to people, especially in South Greenland, in the municipality of Kujalleq, and also members of a very vocal and industrious and solution-oriented South Greenlandic diaspora in Nuuk. And actually, South Greenland is, as you can see here, South Greenland is actually where the Norse people lived for about 500 years in the medieval times, and died out when the Little Ice Age came about. You can see the circumpolar map. You can see a division of municipalities in Greenland, and then you can see this small area, which seems big though when you're there. You can see it's big because Greenland is big, and that's actually the area where farmers are. Inuit farmers or mixed ethnicity are farming the same lands, arable land, as the Norse Greenlanders did back then, and also using the same pastures of natural vegetation. I invoke Iceland because Greenlandic farming emulates Icelandic farming because the development cooperation, ever since sheep were brought from Iceland and also Faroe Islands to Greenland from Iceland in around the early 20th century, beginning of 20th century. And it's not just a matter of experts working together, but also that there are many, many hundreds of young people from South Greenlandic farms who have been on Icelandic farms. And to many of them, Icelandic is their second language. So when you're there, you can actually hear that they're referring to a lot of their regions and landscapes in Icelandic, the old Icelandic terms, or the Norse Viking terms. And thus do I have this my informants, because some of them were at farms where I come from. So I had informants in Greenland. That's how I started up. And then I want to show you, because I have to sort of hurry, I'm going to look at my notes so I don't go all over the place. For about 10 years, around the time that Greenland attained the status of self-government in 2009, there was this obsession on mining and extractive industries. There are about over 150 proposals, who now most of them have become ghost projects. And the idea, of course, was to make Greenland much more economically and politically independent and get rid of the Danish block grants and replace them by something else, especially royalties and direct and indirect income from mining. Now, this actually sort of ended and is being revitalized now in 2025. Which is not really my project of discussion right now. We can talk about it later. But concurrently, in this period, sort of outside of the media's blind spot, when the politicians were obsessed with mining opportunities, there was this incredible development of agriculture in South Greenland. And you can see it here. You can see the various activities. And this is very recent. Sheep farming is not so recent, but the rest of what you see here is. And the farmers, people of the South, they were against one project only in particular, and that was an open pit uranium mine that was supposed to be developed just outside Narsaq, which you see here. Well, sort of on this map here, called Kujalleq, and our informers were very happy in 2022 when we talked to them that when I went there, that the Greenlandic government had banned uranium mining. It was a great risk to human domesticated and natural systems in that area. It also prevented Narsaq from becoming part of Kujalleq, which is on the UNESCO list of heritage sites, which is called farming on the inward and north farming on the ice, near the ice cap. And because of the mining prospects, they were not on the list, and therefore you don't see that there. Now, in the same time as when they decided to go against the uranium mining, which of course was at risk to agriculture, to people in that area, they came out a strategy from the government on agriculture development from 2021 to 2030, which emphasized food security and local production, green energy, and decreasing the need for long-distance transportation of food products, and strengthening overall infrastructure in the area. Of course, the people we talked to, they were very much in favor of all this. Now, I'm going to show you here. In Kujalleq, which is called the Eastern Settlement here, that's what the North Greenlanders called it, the southern part. There are about just 1,000 hectares of arable land that are cultivated, the same ones cultivated back in medieval time by Norse people. There are about 20,000 lambs slaughtered every fall, 17,000 sheep, and they're slaughtered in Narsaq, at a slaughterhouse there. In this period, the fertility rate of sheep has gone from 1 lamb per sheep in 2000 to 1.7 now. And this is due to a new subsidy scheme, which rewards farmers not only for the number of sheep they have, but also the lambs they have. So the fertility is going up. And this is taken care of by very intensive feeding in winter, also selective breeding. Now, in the last couple of decades, there has been condensation. That is not reduction of number of sheep, but reduction of farms, fewer farms. Larger farms, bigger is better. And this is just something I won't have to talk about the general foundation of, but I want to tell you the sensitive issue that is going on in Greenland, and that is that it's difficulty of recruitment and obstacles against expansion of agriculture. And the young ones are the champions. There may be fewer who would like to work these bottlenecks periods and want to do away with the 6-week vacation a year, of course, but still farmers everywhere, they tend to have more children than others do, but fewer and fewer children. The young people we talk to, they would like to be allowed to, they would like to farm, many of them. There are plenty of young farmers farming in South Greenland, but they need more land. So they would like to go to the north, to the western settlement around Nuuk. You see it there? And so they would like to branch out of the crowded Eiríksfjörður and benefit more socially and culturally in the north. So resettle the western settlement, as we call it, okay, where the Norse were farming. That would add 1,000 hectares to what we already have. And finally, a ban was lifted for at least one farm in the Nuuk Fjord in 2017. So there's one farm there now with 600 sheep. But what the young people in the south are up against is, and there's no way that the agricultural strategy of producing, like, let's say, culling 28,000 lambs every fall, or eating 40,000 lambs, which some suggest the Greenlandic population would be happy to do, unless we can the young people were allowed to farm in the Nuuk area. And the chief obstacles is that the young people, what they're up against is the relatively affluent people in Nuuk, and they see them as living in ivory towers. They want Nuuk as a holiday area, caribou hunting lobby, and they go there fishing in the fjord. They go on weekends on boats. They have summer houses there, etc. In Iceland, you find these farm-free hamlets, but you find also places like Mývatn where actually coexists these various activities: agriculture, intensive tourism, etc. So, so this are the obstacles that the young people are up against there. I get a little extra, yeah. Thank you. So I can't, these are my hands holding vegetables from the Kuannersuit experiment station and school, farming school there. And you can see that beautiful fields, actually including barley. And then you can see cabbage, which most of it rots because they would rather bring in from Denmark. There's problems with storage and transportation. Greenland is big. Then you can see potato there growing in Greenland, and then barley. And then you can see the cattle. And so what you have seen from 2015, the number of cattle, dry cattle, beef cattle, doubled in 5 years between 2015 and 2019. And now they have grown to be about over 400. And so this is due to taking advantage of Arctic warming. Same with horticulture. 90 tons of potatoes grown there. And the problem is that the only sector of agriculture sector that receives subsidy is actually sheep farming. And the horticulturalists, those 5 families that grow potatoes, they said we could actually feed Greenland with enough potatoes and root crop in general, especially if we go also to the Nuuk fjord. We could do it, and we wouldn't need to import anything. But this tells us that we need to there needs to be a subsidy scheme for other sectors than this sheep farming. And now the predicted climate models are very positive because there's winter warming happening, and this is not a problem for them because the fields are on slopes, so there's good drainage. So there won't be a frost kill or ice encasement. So that's a positive thing. And also the precipitation is increasing. Now, I can be very quick here. Just look at my notes there. Those who would like to see the proponents of amplified agriculture development in Greenland would say that we need more diversification and intensification. What they mean by diversification is that there is support also for horticulture and for some other domesticated animals than raising them than sheep. Also, call for creating less waste and for creating more value-added commodities through further processing of agriculture products, the creation of a host of final products. And if we just go quickly through this here, the friction among farmers is just simply this: people are not against subsidies, 30% subsidies for sheep farmers, and for the subsidy for the slaughterhouse and the meat processing factory, but they would like to see it extended to other sectors as well. Then there are serious problems with pollution and wasted products. That is, the wool and the lesser tissue of the animals is simply discarded and thrown into the ocean instead of being used as in Iceland, and especially after the economic crisis in 2008, then it really intensified this process of making use of all these formerly not valued byproducts. So they would like to see that. And you can see, do you see the waste dump there by Narsaq? Narsaq gets a lot of waste. The lambs are brought over there, 22,000 lambs slaughtered, and you can see a lot of wool there, etc., along with other garbage. And now, let's see. Time for something more. Yes, I just want to say a couple of other points, and that is that the Neki factory is now producing salami and and etc. So they're starting that. They also started storing potatoes for the potato farmers, so the potatoes could last longer into March instead of starting to sprout in November or something. Now they're having to break even because of economic problems, so that they're actually not managing to provide these services anymore for the potato farmers. But we know, and even just that we can actually grow plenty of potatoes. I say we, I'm starting to identify with Greenlanders, especially the young people in the South, bring their culture to the North, the farming culture, move there and grow potatoes and cattle and sheep. Now, the last thing I want to mention is, because I have a picture of this beautiful ship, that is that other waste, the source there is fish waste, which is not made into fish meal. And there is a company, Arctic Prime Fisheries, primarily owned by Iceland and Faroe Islands, that makes fish meal now for the farmers in the South, or did a couple of years ago, because they needed for a feed enhancer. That is, they mixed imported barley with fish meal, expensive fish meal that they bring in from Disco Bay. But recently, this company started making much cheaper for them fish meal. Now, the Royal Greenland Company, which is totally Greenland owned, they simply buy their fish from the dinky fishermen, cut the heads off, take the intestines out, and freeze it and send it to China. And then the heads and the intestines are thrown into the ocean. So there are a lot of things that can be done, and these are wastes but the people talk to me about. This is not whispered about. This is actually a vocal group, these young farmers. And just the last point here, and for psychologists like Ivan, that actually, when I said that among the South Greenlandic diaspora in Nuuk area, that these people, they are vocal, they're industrious. This is the stereotype, okay? And I see it, but people say it. And they're not as, there are so many Greenlanders who are suffering from intergenerational post-traumatic stress. But the young people, the people who grew up on these farms, they've been doing that for over 100 years. So they have not been experiencing the same kind of change in mode of subsistence and production as these people from smaller villages who have been grown up as hunters and fishers, etc., and then moved into villages. So they are actually a subculture that has not induced and has not had to experience the same kind of trauma in terms of change of lifestyle. So thank you.